Is it ever possible to have a United States of Africa? Is it possible for all the 54 African countries to unite under one government and operate as a single country? Let's leave the answers to these to the vastness of your imaginations and dive right into exploring 10 perks of having Africa as a single country.
Africa is a treasure trove. It is the richest land of the planet. I think it has a lot of farming and natural resources. Gold, platinum, diamonds, manganese, tin, zinc, lead, copper, amongst others, are some of Africa's mineral resources. The vast majority of Africa's agricultural potential goes unused. Only 179 million hectares of Africa's arable land is cultivated, despite the continent having 632 million hectares of arable land. Like the minerals found in Africa, this agriculture is dispersed unevenly. 4 African countries, the DRC, Nigeria, and the 2 Sudans alone have enough arable land to feed the continent's 1 billion inhabitants many times over. Most Africans can only benefit from this wealth if it is shared across the continent because it is not properly distributed and because imperialists partitioned the continent. In both business and agriculture, large-scale production costs a lot of money. When Africa joins, it might be able to make significant investments in industrial and agricultural growth. After joining, Africa won't have to rely on loans with onerous terms from the World Bank, IMF, and other donor nations to keep it impoverished and dependent. Africa's central banks have $500 billion in foreign exchange reserves, especially when it comes to producing the heavy machinery required to build cars, trucks, tractors, bridges, trains, ships, airplanes, and other 21st century essentials. The numerous African nations will never be able to invest much in manufacturing on an individual basis. Let each nation in Africa invest 5% of its reserves in a sizable bond for the continent's infrastructure. In other words, building a great Bank of Africa and distributing the continent's wealth and resources are the only ways for Africa to cease begging for loans that will keep it poor and in debt forever. Large-scale production is possible in Africa if it has a population of more than 1 billion people, and that can only happen if it is united. This would make Africa the 11th most powerful country in the world if it were a single entity, according to the African Union. With its fragmented market, the US and other industrialized nations have taken advantage of a weak and divided Africa. Taking advantage of the free market, these countries flood Africa's market with low-quality commodities manufactured in their large factories, industries, and farms. Companies, plants, and farms may be able to cut their unit costs due to the scale of their markets. Economics of scale refers to this phenomenon. In addition, the government frequently assists these businesses in order to shield them from foreign competition. Current and future African manufacturers have no incentive to raise their output because their native markets are so limited. It's for this reason why workers from outside Africa donate underwear, cell phones, chargers, handkerchiefs, and refrigerators to the continent. If Africa works together, it can keep its market. China protects its industries by keeping the renminbi cheap. This makes Africa's exports more competitive around the world. The US gives money to its farmers, especially those who grow rice, cotton, and corn, to protect their goods from competition from the countries worldwide. The European Union does almost the same thing, with European chicken farmers being one of the biggest winners and African chicken farmers being one of the biggest losers. Once Africa is united, it will be able to use taxes, fees, quotas, pay raises, propaganda, and subsidies. Africa's many small states are at a disadvantage when it comes to dealing with Europe, Asia, and North America. If you want to get foreign direct investment, this is true. Africa will always be able to benefit from foreign direct investment, but the terms will never be in our favor if we negotiate with stronger industrialized nations, while we are still a bunch of small countries. Every time you lose. Once Africa is one country, it will be able to tell foreign investors how to do business there. Using a common currency is one of the best ways to connect Africa's economy. boost trade between African countries to keep an eye on export prices. A common African currency would make it cheaper for Africans who do business with each other to buy other currencies. With a common unit of account, it will be easier to understand and compare the prices of goods and services. Third, the African common currency will become a global currency with a higher value that billions of people inside and outside of Africa will need to buy everything made or sold in Africa. 7. Continental planning. Africa can only plan if it works together. The biggest challenges in Africa can't be fixed by one administration alone. Global warming affects Africa's Nile, Congo, Zambezi, Niger, and Orange River basins. They are rapidly drying out. How can we solve this challenge when each major river basin interacts with several African microstates? Can one African country handle a continent-wide issue? Africa's biggest problems require scientific planning and continent-wide solutions. Since Africa has so many large bodies of water, drought isn't a problem. Africa has 5% irrigated land. Our rain-dependent farming practices can't feed everyone. Our continent's agricultural potential can only be achieved if we prepare for it as a continent, despite how crucial it is to irrigate it. Only the Democratic Republic of Congo has enough land to feed Africa. Why then are Africans hungry when one of Africa's microstates could feed the whole continent? Landlocked countries must have access to the sea. A unified Africa will give 20 African countries sea access. With more than 70% of the Earth's surface covered by water, access to marine life is invaluable. Food, medicine, raw materials, natural resources, tourism, and geopolitical strategic interests. During the disastrous Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885, Africa was balkanized, resulting in small, economically unviable dependencies as well as heightened ethnic and religious tensions across the continent. African countries with the most borders of any continent developed the classic strategy of divide and rule, putting Africa's various ethnic groups, many of which had been enemies in the past, under a single national roof was the simple idea behind the concept. After independence, national unity, political stability, and economic progress would be difficult to achieve due to the obvious tensions that would arise between the many divisions inside the country. Conflicts between and within states and civil wars have arisen as a result of these. These wars and conflicts can only be stalled by a unified African administration, backed by an all-African military high command. The UN, NATO, the EU, the US, or any other group from outside of our country can't fix our problems. None of them are willing, able, or entitled to do so. Instead, they will make things worse, which will make Africa easier for imperialists to govern. Even though African cultures are different, there is more cultural unity around the world as a whole. We can see this in the African spirit that brings us all together. Humanism, collectivism, and equality are some of our most important ideas. We have different idea of existence, space, and time than other people do. Because we are a people who are ruled over and don't have the power to decide what happens to us, our view of the world is rarely heard, looked at, or taken seriously by the rest of the world, especially in places of power. If Africa came together, the world would take notice. We will take our place in the UN Security Council and be free to fully express what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah called the African personality.
Thank you for watching this video. We are always excited to share knowledge with you about anything and everything Africa. Do well to subscribe to our channel, like, engage, and share this with your loved ones. We hope to see you next time. Bye.